Starting the stream. All right. What am I doing? I am just going to click on one or two things here so I can get... I need to be able to watch my own stream. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a confused old man. There it is. I see myself. And I click on that. And I'm watching my own stream on my laptop. Look at that! All kinds of people. Look at all the people. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Isn't this crazy? Isn't this crazy that we're all here all together? My subscriber count has gone up a surprising amount in the last week or so, and suddenly I find myself earlier than I expected at the brink of 1 million subscribers, which is something I've been preparing for a long time. I spent the last couple of hours brainstorming on what I'm going to do for my 1 million video. Yeah, I didn't expect it to happen this fast either. I think the Skyblock election had a lot to do with it. So it's just one more thing for me to express my gratitude to Hypixel and Skyblock for. Yes, who unsubscribed? I know you guys, I know people love to play games. When the stream goes live with the subscriber count, people love to play games with the unsubscribe. In fact, I'll tell you what, it never happened, but as Alex was approaching 10 million, he came to me and he said, Dad, I want you to make me a piece of software that will show me the subscriber count for my channel, except it never goes down. Just the regular, the live subscriber count, like from YouTube, except, hack it so that it does not go down. And I wasn't able to figure out how to do that exactly in time, so we didn't have it. But that was something he wanted. Okay. Yes, I will have all of you know, I will have everyone know that I today ordered my 100,000 subscriber plaque. I ordered it today. It's supposed to be here in a week or two. I don't know. But I'm gonna get the plaque for 100,000 subscribers. I figured I needed to do it today because I didn't know if I'd still be able to do it once I hit 1 million. So that's how that is how much what's that word? Procrastination. The ADD is real. I put off. I hit 100,000 like 2 years ago. I don't know, but I already got a bunch of plaques from other members of the family. Was that tasteless? I can't tell anymore. I'm feeling kind of giddy. Holy cow, look at that number. It's gone up a whole bunch. So we're live until 1 million and then a little bit beyond. I should tell you that everybody in the family is going to bed. And I'm here in the room with the goldfish tank. And I unplugged the aerator. So they're just on regular filtration now because the aerator is crazy loud. There were a bunch of people asking me questions. When did I go? I've been live twice recently. That's I've never really done much with live before, so this is new for me. So, please be patient with your grandpa. But it's in stereo today. The last one I did was in your right ear only. Very, very disquieting for a lot of listeners. But one of us, you're all saying one of us. God bless you all for that. While I'm here, let's just plug the One of Us Foundation. For those of you who are not familiar, the One of Us Global Foundation was founded by my wife and I in honor of Technoblade, the man, the myth, the legend, the Potato King. And we are a very bottom-up kind of leadership style. We're looking to connect with young people because they have the energy, the fresh new ideas, the enthusiasm, the what's that word? Not executive function. They've just got the thing. Young people have the thing. People like me, I just want to eat See, I'm trying to come up with a small chocolate, and I keep coming up with, my brain keeps suggesting crap like Ferrero Rocher. I'm not eating that. I'm not eating truffles anymore. Those are too. What's a little thing you pop in your mouth? What's a little delicious thing that you pop? A mini quiche. That's my choice. I'm an old guy. I just want to eat mini quiche. I don't want to have to try to solve the problems of the world. So, but older folks like us, we do have a certain amount of wisdom and resources and organizational skills. So we're giving that to the benefit of the young people, and then the young people are coming up with the ideas. Like, for example, the Potato Seeds Project, which is it's our signature thing. It was the idea for it came from the actual, people in the young people in the foundation. It was not a top-down idea. They came up with it, they organized it, they designed it, and they're running it. And that's what, like when we do the Festival of Voices, a good chunk of the money raised by Festival of Voices goes to the potato seeds thing. So I don't really know how to do streaming. What is important? People are texting me. Oh my God. We hit 1 million. I was too busy up my own behind talking about stuff, but I was talking about stuff that was important to me. So, that's what you get for dropping your gaze. 1 million subscribers. We win these. I love it. I love all you people. Yes, I wish Technoblade was here. That would be awesome. But I gotta tell you, I don't know if I'd even be a streamer if Techno was alive, because, well, anyway, you gotta play the cards that the universe deals you, right? And this is where we're at. And so I just feel like the luckiest guy alive. How's that for irony? I love this community. I love you people. I love you folks on Reddit. My wife is upstairs. She just texted me 1 million. 1 million. Boy, that has been a goal for a long time. Okay, so why don't I just say it officially at this point? 10%. We're at 10%. That's a big deal. And I'm going to do, when I hit 10 million subs, I'm going to do a face reveal, just so you guys have something to look forward to. I will tell you that I am extremely handsome. So again, something to look forward to. I don't know if I'm going to do an elbow reveal. We'll see. What else to say? We had the Skyblock election the other day. I want to dedicate my win in the election to I'm a Squid Kid, who shepherded me through the challenging political process of Skyblock election. I went from practically nothing with like 400 write-in votes to catapult past all kind of contenders, ultimately coming in with 11,000 votes. People in the top 7 were elected to a minister position, and I made it to number 2. I started at like number 14, but the rather than a long, slow lead up, I had a rocket to the moon at the end. Yes, I did win. Of the 7 people, I came in second place. Of the 7 winners, I was the second place winner. And like Alex and I used to say to each other, number 2 is just another name for loser. No, that's not true. Because I won. I'm getting a lot of messages from a lot of angles, but I'm trying to stay focused and be present. My wife just texted me, which made me laugh with delight, because I have the greatest wife that any person has ever had. I am the luckiest guy, I swear to God. My kids are amazing. Every one of them. Every one of my kids is amazing. Squid also won a position. I think he might have been like number 5. He had like 15 times as many votes as I did to start with. But I did some streaming in support of Squid Kid, and I made a couple of short videos. How do you say that? I was when I write it, I always say hashtag short, just so people know I'm talking about YouTube Shorts. But if you just say shorts, it sounds like oh, the weather's hot, I put on some shorts or something. It doesn't make it clear. Like if you say reels, everybody knows what reels are. So, oh, I'm watching reels today. My wife's like, I'm just gonna watch some reels and then go to sleep. Okay, great. That's wonderful. Everybody knows that reels come from Instagram. Even I know that reels come from Instagram. But shorts, what are shorts? It's just a word. I don't like it. So anyway, I made a couple of hashtag shorts on YouTube about the election. One was why you should vote for me, which got like 100,000 views in like 24 hours, which is not something that I see very often. Someone says, I think shorts is short for shorts. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Anybody want to ask questions in chat? It's going a little fast for me, so I can't promise that I will get to all of them, but I honestly love answering your guys' questions. And so if you have questions, bang them out, and I will be looking over there, looking at the chat. Hey chat, I can talk to you guys and call you chat now, like that's your name. Hey chat, that feels good. What is your favorite Star Wars film? You can't say anything except Empire. I think that's not necessarily a great question, because the answer is always Empire. Empire is just so good. I liked some of the TV shows. The Mandalorian was awesome. I liked Ahsoka. I even like The Acolyte, so maybe I'm not the best person. Okay. What is your favorite color? It's like a very saturated powder blue. People are asking, how is my wife doing? My wife is actually, she's got a little bit of a cold. I will say that. So you know what? My wife is like, I just want to brag on her because she's like lying in bed. I don't feel good. I'm tired. I'm kind of achy. And then she's like, well, I guess I have to get up. So she gets up, she comes downstairs, she makes 2 quiches from scratch, right? She's chopping onions and ham and mixing up eggs, and she puts them in the oven. And she makes like these 2 picture perfect, amazing quiches. And she's like, yeah, that was all I could do tonight. I'm going to go back to bed now. So that's what my wife is coming up with whenever she's, at her low. You guys can all hear me, right? Somebody said unmute your mic, but I'm pretty sure. Is my mic muted? I don't think so. Is my mic muted? Hey, Hannah Payton's here. Hannah Payton. Hey, Hannah. I'm glad you're here. At this, the hour of 1 million. Whew. What was Alex's favorite color? Blue, I guess. Will you tell us more about... Scrolls by so fast, I can't even necessarily see it. Do I have a favorite Nintendo game? I don't know that I do. Alex played a lot of Nintendo. To what extent does the ontological status of abstract morals universals depend on epistemic access mediated by cultural contingent linguistic frameworks and undermine ethicality? I think that's to a large extent. I think that's a bit of that's kind of a bad take. I think the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis is extremely attractive to a lot of people, and yet it's been proven time and time again not to hold. It's false. We can think thoughts well outside of what our limited linguistic abilities to express can come up with. I think that and what's your favorite color make a nice pair of questions, don't you think? What else? What's my favorite thing in Minecraft? Oh, learning how to play. Um, a lot of people asking about Floof. Floof is not with me right now. I think he's upstairs. But Floof generally spends all day with me. Like he doesn't. He's not comfortable if he isn't pressing up against me. Like if I'm when I'm doing like editing or something, I sit on the couch. I have a little pillow to keep my laptop from breaking my neck. And the dog comes up and he leans his right shoulder into my left leg, and he just stays there the whole time. Did I remember to hydrate? If I don't know if you can hear this, I got a full glass of Pog, slightly watered down so you don't get too much sugar at once. You know, you want to be taking in too much. Favorite song? I love David Bowie. I love David Bowie, so something in there has got to be good. Young Americans is amazing. Or like Under Pressure, which he did as a duet with Freddie Mercury, who was also amazing. But David Bowie has my heart. Any more TF2 videos? There will be more TF2 videos. I have like 20 or so recorded TF2 games on my laptop, and I'm kind of sorting through them. I think what I'm gonna do is pick a few games of Gorge. If you're familiar with the level Gorge, I'm gonna play a few games of Gorge, rather replay, edit together a few games of Gorge with some voiceover, like I did the last one. I think it won't be as long. I think the last one might have been a little bit too long. So everybody pop a number in the chat for how long you think a TF2 Let's Play should be. My last one was like 39 minutes. Kind of too long, probably. But if anybody, yeah, CP Gorge, Sir Water Monkey, you know what I'm talking about. Do I watch Doctor Who? I certainly have done. I haven't watched so much of it recently. I've seen a little bit of like David Tennant and some things like that. But really, when I think of Doctor Who, I think of like Tom Baker or Peter Davidson or people like that. So you just don't forget. Yeah, I see numbers like 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Someone said 67. I'm going to call that an outlier. 27, 20 to 30. Yeah, so I kind of think seems like most people are coming down in the 20 to 30 range. So I will shoot for that. Um, okay, so I'm actually sitting here at Technoblade's desk right this minute. I bought him a complete piece of crap desk when I first got this house, and we set his computer up on it, and he used that for his entire life. It's sort of nuts, but what is it? It's like 3 feet wide and 18 inches deep. It's made of wood. The finish is completely destroyed because he would never use a coaster. So that's the furniture, and then I've got a lovely BenQ monitor that I gave Alex for Christmas a few years back. Has a very high refresh rate. It's sitting on top of a toner cartridge. A fabulous Corsair keyboard that has amazing clicky action, and then the computer. You know, Alex. Initially, I got Alex a new computer like every 18 months or so, and eventually he started getting himself a computer. But he always asked me to spec it. His last computer was, I want to say, a Ryzen 3950 with a 4080 in it and probably 32 gig of RAM, although I might have gone for 64 because I know he runs things multiply. He was, at the very end, he was using multiple monitors, but I have to play Minecraft with this steering wheel. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. But I'll tell you, I'm looking. I play it right now. I've just started this, but I play a little bit of Minecraft every day, and I'm figuring out like how do I inventory management and where am I going to put all these potatoes. So slowly learning. I don't know about Mega Walls. It's right now. It's all Skyblock, and if I do anything besides Skyblock, it's gonna be Bed Wars for the near term. Also, I gotta do a duel with Dream's dad. So it's gonna be Technoblade's dad versus Dream's dad. We will be fighting it out in the public arena. Did I know about the Technoblade Easter egg? Hi, Small. I see you. Did I know about the Technoblade Easter egg in the Minecraft movie before it came out? I did a little bit. I heard about it. I've heard about it from a few people. The one that sticks in my head is Tommy. Tommy got a chance to see the Minecraft movie early, unsurprisingly, and he told me about it. And he said, I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's great. So he let me know that was coming. So that was how I found out about that. What mouse? He had okay. I started to say I don't know because I just have a crap generic mouse with me today. But now that I think about it, I remember Alex had a very fancy Razer mouse with green trim. I don't know the model, but he did. It was a Razer, Razer. How do I feel about 1 million? I feel. Is Anna here? Is Anna here? I saw Small just said something to Anna because I know it's like after midnight where she is. Yeah, 1 a.m. Anyway, Anna, if you're here, hello, hello. Yes, Tommy and I keep in touch, and Phil. How did I find out when Techno was famous? Okay, so I will tell. I guess I will tell this story. There were a lot of small steps along the way, but the first thing that was a big step was after the Minecraft with the steering wheel thing. He did the stream. The stream was, I think it was 9 hours. I think he streamed for 9 hours, the steering wheel stream, if you can believe that. And maybe 2 weeks later, he put out a 20-minute what do you guys call them? Highlights or I don't know. There's a specific name for Let's Play highlights that people use. So he put out a 20-minute version of the Minecraft with the steering wheel on hard mode, and that really took off. That really went nuts, and it at the point when it was at 4 million views after just a few days, I think it was. That was when I was like, "Oh my goodness, it's big time now." It was slow, steady, incremental, etc., all along the way, with no obvious inflection points. But when the Minecraft with the steering wheel thing hit 4 million, that was when I was like, "Oh my gosh, we are in the big time." How does it feel having raised the only successful English lit major ever? I think the win there is just from the question itself. I don't think I need to say anything. What am I going to do now that I'm famous? Asks Baby Gast. More of the same, you know. I did my first Let's Play just like less than 2 weeks ago. So I'll tell you what, guys. I'll tell you what. I'm sort of in a giddy kind of jokey mood, but I'll tell you something. I did my first Let's Play. I got involved in the Skyblock election. And it was great fun, and I loved it, and it was exhilarating. And it made me feel weird. I can't really articulate it, but you know, I'm moving let's say talking about Mr. Technodad just making videos, right? Like I made like Fat Superman, or I made the Ahsoka goof. The goof on Ahsoka, or I made even things like Happy Birthday My Son. Those were all like things Alex didn't do. Those were all me things. And the stuff I've been doing in the last week, they're Alex things. You know, I'm bridging off to my island in Skyblock. I'm doing Alex things now. In a lot of ways, it feels wonderful, and emotions. So I'll leave that there. I don't want to get too heavy, but I'm feeling it. Somebody asked, what other video games do you play? I went through a massive good night for those who have to take off. We're at 1,099,000, I guess. 1,100,000. Other video games I play. I went through a lengthy City Skylines thing, and I'm determined to make a City Skylines video or two somewhere in there when the time is right. TF2 is what I've been mostly playing for the last 6 months or so. Am I a furry? I am not a furry, but I have many times, even in my pre-Mr. Technodad days, stood up and said, "Hey guys, leave the furries alone. They're not hurting anyone. You don't have to understand it. Just let them be. They're fine. They're not. It doesn't affect you, man. If you don't think it's whatever you don't think it is, just keep your mouth shut." That's my take on that, and that's a good general view, I think, towards the world. Have I heard of Hermitcraft? Yes. I don't know a ton about it. I know a little bit about it. Everything I hear is good things. I should probably get more into that. Baking with Mr. Technodad. I have at least 2 more cooking videos to come. What YouTubers did Techno like to watch in his free time? Well, when he was in the early days, Alex was all about Team Fortress 2. And so I got to say Lazy Purple, right? And there was some guy whose name was like, is it Star? It's been so long. This was like when Alex was 12. So that was what, 15 years ago, something like that. I don't remember those people too well. And I did tell a story about Yogscast the other day. Alex was so... I see you there, Anastasia_V. Whatever it is. I can't... This is going by so fast, I can't see it. But I'm doing my best. I just want to say again how much I love every last one of you. Even the trolls. Even the goofy 14-year-old edgelords out there who are trying to make a name for themselves by tearing other people down. I love you guys. I love every last one of you. You're amazing. Someone is asking me to say 6'7", but I'll tell you, I don't think people want me to say 6'7". It seems like people have a pretty strong reaction to hearing the whole 6'7" thing. So I think staying away from that phrase 6'7" is probably in my best interest. So no, I'm not going to say 6'7". Sorry for those of you who are asking for it, but there you are. That was good for a drink of juice, I think. What video games I like? Somebody was asking. I used to play Joust. Joust is a coin-op game, which if you ever get a chance to play it, it's... Sorry, can I hear you laugh? Was something wanted me to... Oh my goodness. Do I love horror games? I loved, when I was younger, I loved horror movies. This kind of before video games were much of a thing. So I did go through a very serious horror phase, I mean, they're coming for you, Barbara. But I don't really play horror games right now because it just sort of changes. The older you get, it kind of changes how you feel about horror. And it's like, once you have kids, there's something up on the screen with kids being in danger. You just turn that right off. Just turn that right off. I do not want to see that. Elbow reveal, maybe. You ever going to play a Minecraft mod for a video? I'm not even sure. Did I survive the dinosaurs? I did. I remember that comet. That was, or I guess it was more of a giant meteorite. I remember that, but it hit at the Yucatan, so I was far enough away that that it was not an issue for me. I just have those kind of genes. Do I have any collabs coming up? I think I'm probably going to try to do a thing or two with Squid. I just feel like that's something that needs to happen. And, Skeppy and I keep talking around about how we're going to do something together, and then we never do it. But I want to do that, and he wants to do that. So Yes. Do I remember Pangea? No, I don't go back that far. Oh my gosh, I get so easily distracted. You know, if I stare at this box of toner cartridge, I can keep my thoughts focused and my stream of speech going quite well. But my eyes are always drawn over. I turn and I watch this. I watch the chat. I should probably. Somebody was asking me about the assassination of Julius Caesar. You guys, you know that he was stabbed in the rotunda, which is just really painful. That's a really painful place to get stabbed. Anyway, there's a joke that's as old as the dinosaurs. Favorite car of all time? That would be the 1972 or thereabouts Z28, the Camaro Z28. I don't know that I would drive one if I had one today, but is there a car that's close to my heart? It's the Z28. Six Semper Tyrannis. Other footage of techno hidden in his video files that might be worth a video. Scraps. There's scraps around there, and there, you know, I mean, if you've seen the videos on Alex's channel that have come out in the last 3 years, you know, it's not zero. It hasn't been nothing. It hasn't been very much, but it hasn't been nothing. There's going to be a little more things, but not a whole lot. You broke your wrist yesterday. Ow. At least it's your left wrist, so you can still mouse. You know, that's what's important. I'm joking. That's not what's important. What's important is that you make a full recovery. So treat that wrist well, because you don't want to have long-term problems from a broken bone. So whatever the doctor is telling you to do with that left wrist, you listen very carefully. Get someone to write it down for you who has, you know, two working wrists, and follow their. What is your favorite state? You know, a lot of people say gas or liquid, but I'm going to go with solid. I mean, it's a stodgy state. I'm not so modern and avant-garde to say something like plasma. I'm going to go with solid is my favorite state. Favorite military aircraft, F-14 Tomcat. Enough said. What Minecraft feature do you wish we had in real life? Save games. No question. I should stop saying so much. It should be perfectly possible for me to stare at the chat and not say that filler sound. So, favorite element on the periodic table. Oh, that's a good question. So many good ones. Oxygen, nickel. You know what? Nickel is underrated. Oxygen. What else? Neodymium is a good one. I'm picking things that are used to make magnets. That's interesting. What else? Favorite funny word? Onomatopoeia. Play Skyblock. I will play Skyblock, but I'm not going to play Skyblock right now. I want to get to where I can be on screen and not just be like horrifically embarrassing. Or embarrassed at how awful I am. So I'm not quite there yet. I still need to, you know, learn the Skyblock menu. Do I like Star Wars? What kind of a question is that? Of course I like Star Wars. I saw A New Hope at its first run in theaters. I bet not a lot of you can say that. Yes. Star Wars, you know, I was in high school when it came out, and my entire high school posse, it would be like 2 years before the next movie came out. And we would spend the entirety of those 2 years talking about our theories. Oh, Yoda says, there is another. And then it's like we all went nuts trying to figure out who it was. Who's the other one? Is it Boba Fett? Who is it? Okay. Favorite book? Realistically, it's probably the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But I would be completely remiss if I did not mention various of the works of Roger Zelazny, who is, how George R.R. Martin gets all this press now, what with the whole Game of Thrones TV show and everything, justifiably, deservedly, George R.R. Martin gets a huge amount of press. Well, somebody right in that same category of authors, and they were friends, in fact, is a guy named Roger Zelazny, who wrote a whole bunch of books, and two of them, Lord of Light. Don't start with that one. Don't start with either of these. Read some of his easier books first. But Lord of Light, you know what you should do? You should read the Chronicles of Amber. That's what you should start with. Start with the Chronicles of Amber. It's a 5-part book series. Read that. And then when you've got a feel for his vibe, for the way he does things and so forth, then you can take on Creatures of Light and Darkness, which is one of the most amazing books I ever read, along with Lord of Light, which is another amazing Zelazny book. So yeah. What drink would you recommend someone for their 21st birthday? So I'm not a big, I think this is an alcohol question. I'm not a big booster of alcohol. It's kind of terrible. But, you don't want to be a stick in the mud and never have it either. I eventually, at some point in my life, I eventually started drinking. I started on mixed drinks when I was 48. And you know what's a nice mixed drink is a cucumber martini. Cucumber martini. Again, I might not be the best person to answer this. Whenever my wife and I go out to a restaurant and we're going to get drinks, aka alcohol, she always gets the manliest drink on the menu, and I always get the girliest drink on the menu. So when the waiter comes, we've many times had the situation where the waiter hands us the wrong drinks and then walks away, and we switch him back because, she'll drink something like a Manhattan and I'll drink something like a totally fruity martini. So yeah, those are good. Thoughts on mint ice cream? 10 out of 10, no notes. Earlier, yeah, Long Island iced tea, sure. Yes, but just, don't drink too much, especially at 21, right? Because you have your body's going to be looking at those ethanol molecules and going, what the heck is this? So just somebody's saying unsub so the stream goes longer. No, I'm here as long as I'm awake at this point. Don't overdo it on the alcohol. Don't overdo it on the alcohol. And it's really easy to do. And you know what else is worse about the fact is the more alcohol you have, the more your judgment is impaired. So you go, you know what? I think 3 martinis isn't really that bad because I feel fine. I'm going to have a 4th one. Okay, no, stop at 2. Stop at 2, for goodness sake. And if you're new, stop at 1. Favorite dinosaur? Ankylosaurus? Stegosaurus? Somewhere in there. What is the best tip for someone who doesn't know what to do with their life in college? I'll tell you what I did, and I think this is good advice. Get the course catalog and read through it. Read every page in the course catalog because it's like the most insane book of, pieces of human knowledge that you're ever going to come across. And as a student, you can say, oh, you know what? I'm going to take that. Oh, I'm going to take that. I want to learn Japanese. I want to learn about linguistics. I want to, developmental psychology. That course description sounds fascinating. I'm going to take that class. Just go through the catalog and listen to your heart, right? Do not go through and say, well, how is this going to help me in my career? Because money is really the most important thing. Okay, yes, money is important, but you know what else is important? Education. You know what else is important? A fulfilled life. And you're not going to get that by treating college as a vocational institution. College is not a vocational institution, except for coincidentally. College is where you go to get a broad understanding of the world, of the skills and the knowledge to be the kind of citizen that we need in your country, whatever your country may be. Yes, you can think about having a major that's going to help your job prospects, but even that's optional. So there you go. Entertainment is important. Absolutely. Like, what was it like to witness the birth of our universe? Honestly, you had to be there. I'm not particularly a car guy. People are asking, Bilbo versus Frodo, who's better? How can you pick? How can you ask that question? How can you pick? Ugh, I can't even. I can't even. But you know what? I'm a little pissed off that Frodo's reputation is starting to suffer. The man is a hero. The man saved Middle-earth. And it wasn't single-handedly, because nothing is ever done single-handedly, but he was the front line in bearing that token of evil from one side of the continent to the other. Frodo is, and it destroyed him. It destroyed him. He was never okay again after that. So yeah, Frodo, I love Bilbo. Frodo is a great hero. Congratulations on 1 million. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy. Favorite NBA team. I'm not a sports guy particularly. Thoughts on the Back to the Future films. They're stone cold classics. I have nothing to elaborate on that. I will say that the town hall. I have a picture of me at the town hall in the Back to the Future movies, because I've been to that. Back lot. Somebody asks about what was that speech from your. There was a video of me giving a little bit of a speech in my Skyblock video. So I don't remember exactly, but let's say it was 1999. Except I don't think Alex was born yet, and he was born in 99. Let's say 98. Nobody cares whether it's one or the other. Let's say 98. Back in 98, I was making films back then. And I used to write short stories before I got into the idea of screenplays, which was in like the early 90s. And somewhere along the line, I wrote a short story called One Man, One Vote. And when I started getting more interested in being a filmmaker, I decided I was going to make that into a film. One Man, One Vote. It's on my YouTube channel. So, like and subscribe, everybody. I guess subscribe is sort of the theme of the day. Subscribe to my channel and go check out One Man, One Vote. It is nothing like your typical YouTube video. It's not even like a typical Mr. Technodad video. It is a parable. It's a parable. So pay attention in English class to the point where you know what parable means. And that sounded kind of condescending when I said that, didn't it? I take that back. I apologize for that statement. But it is a parable, and it's one of my favorite stories that I've ever written. So I hope you enjoy it. It did not translate into film perfectly. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the best translation to the screen that I've ever done, but pretty good. And it's a great story, I think. So please watch it. And I gave myself, it's mostly about the young people going out and about a post-apocalyptic San Francisco, trying to stir up votes. They want to get people's votes for the election. But I just thought it made sense to have a brief appearance by the candidate that all the party juniors are stumping for. So I cast myself as the candidate, and so there's a one sentence excerpt from the candidate's campaign speech in One Man, One Vote in that thingy. Somebody asks, I still subscribe to Technoblade. Where does that money go? That money goes into Alex's estate, which is an ongoing thing because it's still making money. And from there, it is administered by me. And that, you remember when he said, my siblings are going to college? So some of that money goes to paying educational expenses for Artemis and Apollo. Some of it goes to me, and some of it goes to Alex's mom. And I take some of that money and forward it on to the One of Us Foundation. I am a freshman film student right now. Would love to hear any firsthand advice. Yeah. Okay. When I was growing up, I got lots of advice from a lot of people, and I mostly blew it off. And then decades later, I realized that almost all of the advice that I got was really good advice. And I just wasn't in a position to hear it because, the crazy thing is that good advice sounds so banal. Good advice just sounds like so not interesting. Like if you really want to improve the quality of your life, my top 3 things, this is hard fought information. This is the best advice I have on how to have a good life. Eat right, exercise, get plenty of sleep. Like go to bed at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every morning. That's my best advice. How boring is that? That is just the boringest advice you can imagine. But honestly, those 3 things are more important than anything else, anything anyone else is going to come up with to tell you for good advice on how to live your life. If you're interested in making films, the banal piece of advice is make films. And these days with phones, you got no excuse. Everybody can make a film now because the camera is right there in your phone, and just make films. Just make films. Just make films. Paired with that, watch films. Like think of films that you like, watch them, and watch them critically, right? If the first time you watch a film, you can't watch it critically so well, unless you're bored to death, then you can watch it critically. But if you really are into a film, let it wash over you, But maybe the third time you watch it, if you're thinking you're a film student, bring a clipboard with you and take notes as it goes along. Pause, rewind sometimes. Maybe keep timing. Make little timing diagrams or tables of the timing. Yeah. Yes, you can go to sleep. That's my advice to you. If you are feeling sleepy, go to sleep. It's a good thing. All right. So there's some advice. I'm back to saying again. Watch Dune, then remake Star Wars. Will your family appear in more YouTube videos? We'll see what happens when my youngest turn 18. Until then, I'm not even thinking about that question. Favorite Greek mythology. A lot of people have been asking me Greek mythology questions. Wait, somebody's saying Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Once again, those are 10 out of 10 films. Stone cold classics. No notes. Everybody who's interested in film as an area of study should see them. Now I just lost the last question. I am so easily distracted. I am just like that dog in Up. Squirrel. I just got to move forward like a shark. A Techno Dad recreation of Star Wars. If you want to see and hear me talk about Star Wars, I made a video about Ahsoka. I think it's some of the better comedy that I've ever done. As far as like serious film criticism, it's not, but it's got some of my best jokes in there. It's a humorous, affectionate, but also, you know, comedic take on Star Wars. So I recommend it. I think that film of mine. Favorite anime is One Punch Man. Come on, what else could it be? Of course, it's One Punch Man. I'm currently watching Freerun. I am a huge fan of Violet Evergarden. I watched Hunter x Hunter from beginning to end. I gotta say, it was a little bit long, but it was really good. But I that whole arc about the Chimera ants could have been, if you'd have cut 20% off of the length of that, it would have been a little better, I think. Still a Stone Cold classic. I see various questions about I see various questions about collaboration, and I would collaborate with anyone. I love all of the YouTubers are great. Um, what else? What else? You know what? I'm gonna take a 90-second break. Apologies. I'm gonna go get a power cord for my laptop because I can't see the chat if my laptop runs out of power. I'll be right back. Oh, you want to go outside? Okay, I'm back. Is anyone still watching? That took longer than I expected because I ran off to get my laptop power cable, and Floof came running up to me doing the little dance that indicates he will be pooping in the very near future. And if I want to let him out, he's willing to not do it in the house. So I took him up on that offer. Oh, who decides the art for the merch? I mean, there's a whole collection of designers at the merch company. There's the what's the name of the people? The Council of the Blade. Did I get that right? We've got a small collection of fans who weigh in on that kind of thing. And we've got me. And I have veto power, but I think it's important to remember that it's not the Council of the Blade. Thank you. Yes. My brain is just like a sieve now. I can't remember people's names anymore. It just started in the last year or two. That's what somebody was asking me how old I am like a half hour ago. I am 63. I am 63. I had to walk uphill through the snow to get to school when I was young. We didn't have internet. Favorite lightsaber color? I'm going with green. It's not a strong preference, but I'm going to say green. Favorite audio drama? Oh, I think the Lone Ranger stuff from the 1950s was pretty good. Did someone ask if I was related to Technoblade? Oh, can I say that again in Palpatine's voice? Oh, I don't know if I can. Feel the hate flowing through you. Yes, young Skywalker. One day you will know what it is like to have your knees ache all the time. Yeah. I don't know. I could have maybe done a little bit better with some prep, but not a lot better necessarily. I saw a video on YouTube one time where a guy was like, I'm going to do a bunch of impressions of Star Wars characters. And out the gate, he does absolutely pitch perfect impression of the guy who bought scrap from Rey in one of those sequels. You know, the flying around guy. And then you're thinking like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. And then every other impression that he does of a whole bunch of different characters, and they all sounded exactly the same as that first one. It's such a crack up. Can I do Yoda? Late it is. I don't think I can. Can't believe Techno Dad is as old as my grandma. I know, right? It's kind of wacky. I feel like I said this yesterday. But like when I watch TV now, and the commercials come on and they're for things like G.I. Joe or Hot Wheels. And I think, what am I doing? I'm just a weird person. I'm watching Teen Titans Go. Is that, how many 60-year-olds are watching Teen Titans Go? I don't know. Oh, I saw a question I want to do. How old are you again? I'm 63. Have you ever struggled with mental health? Oh, mods deleted it. Well, let me talk about mental health a little bit. Yes, I have struggled a good deal with mental health. And if, I think people get a certain sense from me as being a supportive person and someone who wants everyone's mental health to go as well as possible. A lot of that is something that happened downstream from from my challenges when I was younger. I went through serious depression, not 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 10 out of 10 serious, but 7 or 8 out of 10 serious. Enough to completely ruin the quality of my life, and I went through that for a long time. And it took a lot of therapy, various antidepressants, meds, anti-anxiety drugs. Um, those things are really, really helpful. And we don't have a we don't we don't it's like people have children, but they don't know how to be parents. There's literally nothing that people do to prepare for being parents. I mean, maybe the serious people read a couple of books, but mostly it's just like, here's your child. I can still clearly remember coming home, in total shock, coming home from the hospital. My ex-wife, who was then my wife, and a 6 pound bundle named Alex, and we set him down on the bed. He was all swaddled, and we looked at each other, and it's kind of like, what did we do? What have we done? There's 3 people in this room now. Just a shock. And once upon a time, we had a lot of institutions that were, they were maybe monolithic, they were maybe homogeneous, they were maybe not particularly diverse or equitable. There were problems. And they also did good things. A lot of the people, at least in the mainstream, at least, I'm trying not to say white people. Here in America, we've we've had a long history of doing things for the benefit of white people. Fortunately, some of us are trying to do better now. I started to say we're all trying to do better, but it's not all of us, is it? It's some of us. Uh, so these institutions, these older institutions, from the town hall to whatever else they may be, they're kind of falling apart. They're kind of dissolving, and they're dissolving because of their inability to adapt to changing values. Like, there are more values for diversity and equity and inclusion than there once were, and we don't particularly have new institutions to replace them. And that has affected a lot of people's understanding of their role in society, blah, blah, blah. Lack of monetization. Yeah, I how many grams of protein in a baby? Yes. Um, I will say, somebody said the monetization. I don't have donations enabled. I don't have monetization on this stream. I forget about those things. I I should probably. I'll tell you what. What else I always forget about is a thumbnail. But tonight I remembered 10 minutes before I went live that I needed a thumbnail. So I came up with a thumbnail. So that's something. Did Techno ever watch Breaking Bad? I don't think he did. He watched Severance, if you can believe that. And we watched Queen's Gambit together, and Squid Game, and um, like that. Somebody asks if I've ever worked on any famous films. I have not. I've worked on a fair number of films that have made the film festival circuit, um, but nothing you would particularly have heard of. Uh, I'm very much self-trained indie kind of filmmaker, and so I've worked on indie films. There's a reasonably good independent film community in the Bay Area, and I count myself as a part of that. What is your favorite movie? I like the Star Wars movie. Lord of the Rings. Just get that out of the way. Lord of the Rings, favorite movie. I like. There's a lot of like indie stuff that I like, which I think I won't go into. Um, what else? I don't know. If you could relive any year of your life, what year would you pick? My first year with Stacy, because Alex was alive and healthy and undiagnosed, and I had a brand new, my first ever actually constructive relationship, my first relationship where both people are really asking for, what they need, and very generous with each other and very affectionate. And my relationship with Stacy is just so great, so great. I'm so grateful to be with her. So I would relive, if we're gonna say like what was the best year, so you want to like do it again, have it again. It's not. I wouldn't want to change anything. I wouldn't change anything. I just want to. I just wouldn't mind reliving it again, like you watch your favorite film again. If you could pick one Star Wars character to protect you, who would you choose? I'm gonna go with Obi-Wan Kenobi because he has plot armor. Someone asked, "How do you become the person who always knows what the right thing is to do to help people?" And that question has a very clear answer. You cannot. You cannot always know what the right thing is. Absolutely impossible. But you can get good at that, and just like anything else, you practice. You know, if you, but I will sound a note of caution. Somebody asked, who is Stacy? Stacy is my wife. I sometimes refer to her as Demeter because I have Greek mythology names for all of the people in my family, so that I don't have to. I saw a question I really liked, which I'll come back to. Um, yes, practice. No, it was the caveat that I was coming back to. The caveat is, if you spend 100% of your time thinking about other people, you are not healthy. You need to think about yourself. You need to think about your own joys and happinesses, how to follow your own muse. Some of these questions are cracking me up. Um, uh, it was a very inappropriate laugh for where I was and what I was saying. It's important to have a solid foundation. You have to have your feet under you. You have to be centered to help other people, ideally. Sometimes circumstances don't always allow for that, but wherever possible, you need to be centered and clear about who you are in order to learn enough about someone else to actually help them to be who they need to be. So, but if you do have that, then you're golden. You're golden because it will all develop, it will all unfold, and it will all go down just the way it needs to. So, somebody said, "What's your favorite Lord of the Rings character, and why is it Theoden?" I don't know if I would pick Theoden as my favorite Lord of the Rings character, but I couldn't possibly argue with anyone who did. Theoden is great, and of course, let's not miss the fact that Theoden's firstborn son, yeah, that thing. I have not seen Epic the musical, but maybe I should be. Greek mythology. So, my mom was Greek. I heard a lot of Greek growing up in the home. I I picked, I needed to, Tom Bombadil. Yeah, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. There's so many great characters in Lord of the Rings and so many great quotes. Goodness gracious. Good night to everybody who has to sign off. It is late. Got to take care of yourself, right? What else? Yes, the Greek mythology names for family members just kind of happened organically. Um, I want to, I don't want my children running around town like being recognized on the streets. Yeah. Favorite history period. This is not really a good answer, but I do love Jane Austen novels. So, first part of the 19th century. Um, is a lovely period to read about. But ancient Greece and ancient Rome are also amazing. That's right. Somebody asked me who was my fursona. I'm not. I'm not a furry type of person, and in fact, but again, as I said before, I all respect and support to those who are. Um, have I seen Blade Runner? Have I seen Blade Runner? Have I seen Blade Runner 10 times? Yes. Um, Furries. Yeah, somebody was asking me about furries. I tried to, quite a while ago, I thought to myself, I want to see if I can get in touch with anything the least bit furry adjacent so I could maybe try to understand people a little bit more. Um, and I thought and I thought and I thought, and I just, for the longest time, I couldn't think of anything that made any sense. But eventually, I remembered Josie and the Pussycats. And I thought, if I was in college and I met a cute girl and she had like little kitty cat ears on, I would think that was pretty cool. So that's as close as I've come. I am fond of saying, something that did occur to me one time, uh, and I have been fond of this joke ever since, is that Batman is Bruce Wayne's fursona. I'll just leave that for you guys to think about. Somebody asked if I have any plans for videos coming up. Like a couple of dozen. I want to do the fight with the Dream's dad. I want to do the speaking of cat girls. Everybody, now that I mentioned little kitty cat ears, everybody's going to be all cat girls in the chat from now on. Um, the She-Ra reboot, the more recent one. That is an amazing show, and I'm gonna do a video about She-Ra. Um, yep, you tuned in and you hear about cat girls. That's you takes your risks. We were discussing very profound things. Is dad fight confirmed? It is definitely happening. It is definitely on. Trading messages about that with Dream's dad earlier today. I don't have a schedule. I'm not ready. I'm not doing cat girl cosplay. No. I did do the confused math lady meme. That was fun. I feel like my fursona would be a seal. Thanks. Favorite Tarantino film. Ah, I am totally willing to acknowledge Tarantino as a film genius, but that doesn't mean that I actually particularly enjoy his films. Um, they're classics. I go see them. They're powerful, but it's not like, oh yay, Django. That was a feel good film right there. No, it's not. Uh, so that's my take on Tarantino. Check out. Oh boy. See, this is the thing about getting old. Your brain just stops working. The guy who did the Lone Star movies, there was a movie called Lone Star. Um, I think in the spirit of Sun Tzu, I'm not going to say anything about what training I'm doing because it would get back to dream. You know, whatever you do, don't put all of your best tactics in a YouTube video. You fool, you moron. So I'm not gonna do that one. I got you know I got a lot of people I can call up. Can we get a Batman cosplay? You did do a Superman. Yeah, I've worn the bat suit over the course of my life many times. So certainly that happens. I just I do have a lot of costumes. I have a lot of wigs. I feel it feels like a crack up to be saying that, but I got a lot of wigs. I do a lot of dress up for my goofy videos, and I will be doing more of those. So yeah, I mentioned a She-Ra video. I want to do. There's a guy of an amazing actor that a lot of people haven't heard of particularly, but he did some really influential things, and I want to do a video about him. Um, there's favorite costume you've worn so far. I loved dressing up as Lex Luthor. I had a great big gun, a prop gun that I ordered. You know that scene from the trailer where it's kind of a close up on Luthor and he's got a gun that's just clearly too big for him. That was wonderful. Somebody mentions Brazil. We had a Brazilian nanny for Alex when he was young, and I love Brazil. I love Brazilian cuisine, and I have a deep and abiding love for capoeira. So yeah, Brazil number one. Have I been to other countries? A few, since I've been around so long, but I have been to Italy and to France and to Spain. I've been to England, kind of by accident. I've not been to Brazil. I've been to Colombia, if you can believe that. Mexico and Canada, of course, and Japan. I think that might be the list. Would you wear wigs? Yeah, I wear wigs. I had a Superman slash Clark Kent wig. I had a wig to play uh, Guy Gardner. I have the official He-Man wig, the official one. I got a nice long blonde wig for when I want to play feminine, like when I did the confused math lady meme. I haven't been to the Netherlands. I have tremendous admiration for the Netherlands. They seem to be they seem to really have their stuff together. I've seen Andor season 1, but I have not watched season 2 yet. It's on the list. Totally okay to put Techno Blade references in your D&D. By all means, play D&D. I don't speak Spanish. It's one of the I've studied German and French and Japanese, but not Spanish. And I think if I were smart, I would have just like put all of my effort into Spanish, and because that's a language you actually hear where I live. You never hear any of the others. Somebody asked about Iranian cuisine. I've had that many times. I do enjoy Iranian cuisine. There's an Iranian. Well, I shouldn't dox myself. Yes, I have been to many Iranian cuisine places. I'll stick with that. Uh, yes, Andor was amazing. A little heavy for me, maybe. Is this seems to be like fun? It seems like people are actually enjoying this, and I'm just completely free associating. It's like what is it like? It's like overstimulation in my brain. Like there's too much electricity coursing through my brain, and I'm just talking about random stuff. But I'm loving it, and I hope you guys like it. Thoughts on space? Space scares the crap out of me. Every time I start reading about space, I think, like, you read about, like, what was that other, it's another whole other planet, Theia. A whole other planet collided with Earth, and enough of Earth broke off to form the moon. If that doesn't terrify you, what would terrify you? The vastness, of space. I forget what the number of stars in the Milky Way. It's somewhere in the zone of like 1 trillion. And the Milky Way is just one sort of like smaller than normal kind of galaxy. The vastness of space is absolutely just brings to me this existential. It's kind of like what you read about, like Lovecraft characters going through. Like they are exposed to the mysteries of Yog Sothoth, and then they go insane. That's how space feels like to me. So, but then every so often I get really into like, oh, let's look at these stars. Yeah, the Lone Star movie from the '90s. That was the one. I love Star Wars. Every 5 minutes, somebody asks me if I like Star Wars. How could I not like Star Wars? Can you imagine any version of me that doesn't like Star Wars? Oh my goodness. Yeah, there will be more TF2 videos. The next one's going to be about CP Gorge. It's really going to focus on Demo Man rather than bouncing around to all different classes like I did on the first one. I've got, I'd love to do one where I air blast people off a cliff, and that's just the whole focus is me air blasting people off a cliff, but I seem to have a harder time doing that these days. Favorite Star Wars character? I want to say Babu Frick at this point. just to mess with you guys. Favorite Star Wars character? It's Luke. It's Luke. He's the hero. Luke took down the greatest villain in cinematic history. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of argument when I say Darth Vader, the most effective, famous, frightening villain in all of cinema history. And Luke took him down with the power of love. That's a hero. That's a hero. Whew. How long do I spend on the average gaming per day? I did not get to do any gaming whatsoever yesterday. Other days I might spend, I don't usually go past 3 hours. If Stacy's out of town, it might go more than that, but it's usually not more than 3 hours. The bad guy from the Emoji Movie. I will smack you upside your head for that, young man or woman or non-binary, whatever. Huey Lewis mentioned. Yes. Sports. Aisha, you are a nerd. Do I have work? Kind of. I'm effectively retired. Somebody asked what my career was earlier. I was a computer programmer. I was a corporate code jockey. Go to work every morning. You have a cube. You have a desktop computer. You pound out C++ code or Java code. Write unit tests, etc., etc. I've done a lot of that. A lot of that. The best programming language. There is no best programming language because different projects have different constraints, different values, etc., etc. Someone asking if they're a nerd. If you are asking if you are a nerd, you're a nerd. I'm sorry. But, own it. My voice would be amazing for a podcast or an audiobook. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Could you imagine working computer science in today's climate? I have some concerns. Yeah, I don't. Best programming language is assembly. Assembly? You kids today are soft. Machine language. Assembly. Why I have not tried Rust. If I were going to make the effort to learn a new programming language, it would be Rust. Like, use it for serious. What do I think is the most fun thing about coding? I mean, conceiving of an idea and then realizing that idea, running that program and seeing it bring your idea to life. Can't beat that. Can't beat that. That's wonderful. Steel Fist Gaming, you are also a nerd. Did I ever build PCs, or did Alex ever ask me for help with that? I built, or at least spec'd every PC Alex ever owned. Oftentimes I just built them myself. When in the later years when he had enough money, I would just send him a list of Amazon links. Say, okay, you want to get this GPU, you want to get this, and that, so forth. I'd go to the studio. I'd see what I had lying around. Maybe I've got a spare hard drive or a case that we can use. I would just assemble all those parts together, and that would be his new computer. Yeah, every single computer he ever had was built or specified by me. Sometimes we'd just go to one of those places like iBuyPower and just click. But I would do all the picking. I'd talk to him about what he needed it to do. But it's pretty straight. You need a lot of RAM and you need a fast GPU and you're good. Favorite TF2 character? My soft spot is for the Demo Man. I love him to bits. What do you think of tech companies trying to shoehorn AI into the workflow of engineers? Get used to it. That's probably not what anyone wanted to hear, but it's pervasive now. And you have to realize that ChatGPT has more information available at the drop of a hat. It is better informed than any human that has ever lived or ever will live. So I'm not saying it's smart. I'm not saying it's conscious. I'm not saying it's sentient. But it's better informed than you are. So that's the thing. What else? AI sucks, though. AI has limitations. It doesn't suck. It's the most amazing technological innovation since the internet. Again, probably not what you want to hear, but AI is amazing. You gotta learn how to use it. You gotta learn how to use it to your advantage. Yeah. Insane inflation of RAM and hard drive prices. Uh, I feel like each and every time I set out to buy RAM and I go online and I see what's going on with the RAM market, everybody's going like, oh, RAM prices are up. Okay, I don't know. I'm just okay. Let me tell you a story about how to use AI correctly. I use AI a fair bit. And one of the things I use it for is writing. Now, everybody's going to freak out when they hear that. What I don't do is go to AI and say, hey, write me a story about X. No, that's terrible. What I do is I have the story. I have the whole outline. I have some jokes. Some of the jokes aren't coming together. And so I go to AI. I say, I have this idea for a joke. It's kind of, you set it up like this, and then the humor part comes in from blank, but I'm having trouble connecting the dots. And I'll tell AI, spit out 25 variations on the thing I asked for. and it'll spit out 25 variations. 23 of them are terrible, like terrible, like terrible. And then one of them is like, that's pretty good, but not the direction I want to go. And then one of them is like, oh my gosh, that idea inspired me to come up with a different idea. And that's the idea. That's the idea that worked. Quick example would be when I was doing, I'm not going to talk about pod racing. No matter how many times you ask me, I'm not talking about pod racing. I'll say this though. Now this is pod racing, but I'm not going to talk about pod racing. Okay. All right. Here's an example. I was using Gemini for this. When I was making Fat Superman, I had that whole, there's that whole speech where Lois Lane goes, did you ask the president? The Secretary of State said he was going to look into your actions, like that. You remember that speech from the trailer? So I wanted to write, and did write, a parody version of that speech. And it was pretty funny. And one of the things I wanted to do is, where she said Secretary of State and where she said President, I wanted to swap in somebody else. And the first thought that came to me was Mr. Beast. But it's like, everybody talks about Mr. Beast all the time. It's kind of been done to death. So then I thought, who's funny though? Just like the name PewDiePie is just funny. Just the concept of PewDiePie is funny. So I thought, you know what? I need to like get into GIMP and make an image of PewDiePie as a DC character. So I was like, okay, what DC character is PewDiePie? Right? So I could like take a picture of PewDiePie, cut out his head, and paste it on top of a DC character. And I couldn't think of who it was. Who should I use? The Question? Yeah, that's not quite right. Captain Atom? I just couldn't think who would it be really funny to have PewDiePie be. So I typed in everything I was thinking about. PewDiePie as a DC character, it should be like this, it should be like that. I typed it all into Gemini, and Gemini came back with a one-word reply. It said, Lobo. PewDiePie as Lobo. Now that's funny. That's an example of using AI to your benefit. Favorite TF2 class is Demo and Engineer. See how PewDiePie is Batman, it's giving him too much credit. The whole point of PewDiePie, well, anyway. Yeah, somebody points out that, you can, instead of coming up with PewDiePie jokes, you can also use it for medical research and things like that. Yes, also good. Also good. I do think there should be more AI regulation. And I think, I spend a lot of time on Reddit reading the conversation between the pro-AI people and the anti-AI people. And the conversation itself is terrible. It's just the quality of the discourse is miserable. So bad. I got 2 tickets to the gun show, but I'm not using them. I'm going with your tickets. My favorite piece of Technoblade merchandise. I can't pick one. Have I seen 2001? Yes, I saw 2001 in the theaters when it first came out. And a number of times since then. Yes, I am familiar with AI delusions. Because I use AI a fair bit, I've certainly run into them. I personally think Demo Man needs some sort of nerf. Bite your tongue, young man. I don't actually say that. I said that to be funny. That's the way to say it. I said that to be funny. Technoplane. When is the duel? I don't have a day yet. I'm still very confused. Okay. I have a lot of respect for Markiplier. I haven't seen a whole bunch of his stuff. I I probably should. What field of CS is your favorite to work on? Languages, compilers, assemblers, parsers, those things. Those are fun. But there's not always a lot of work for that. I've been lucky to get a chance to work on that kind of stuff. How was my experience with Y2K? Uh, it was fine. The sort of stuff I worked on wasn't the real damage. The real people at risk for Y2K was the legacy systems, the stuff that was written in COBOL or maybe Fortran that had been around a long, long time, and that wasn't. Do I think AI demotes creativity or originality? I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. So if we talk about Google Maps, does Google Maps inhibit your ability to navigate in the real world without it? Yes, absolutely, unquestionably. I grew up in a world without Google Maps. I had to learn how to read a real map. I had to learn how to figure out my own route from point A to point B. I had to memorize landmarks. Nobody knew where anything was. Now, each and every person on this green earth has a smartphone, and you type in the address and it tells you right how to get there. And that part of your brain that you used to devote to figuring out route plans, it just shrinks. And every so often when I can't use, like even if I'm like driving from point A to point B that I've done 100 times, I still want to pull Google Maps out to see, are there any traffic jams, whatever. So yes, Google Maps inhibits your ability to uh, navigate. Is that a problem? Not really, because every person on this green earth is going to have that from now on. And it means that your brain can go into other things. So I think certainly there are dysfunctional patterns for using AI. And certainly if there's grunt work that AI can do and you start relying on AI to do it, you'll lose the ability to do that grunt work effectively. Slowly. Creativity, I don't know. I find working with AI seems to stimulate my creativity. Like I say, one thing I do a lot with AI is I say, brainstorm 40 examples of X. And I start out with like 5 that I think are funny, and I ask the AI, give me 40 more, and 25 of them are terrible. I delete them immediately. But then the ones that are the good ones give me further ideas. They give me other ideas. So yeah, I don't know. I think the environmental impact issue is kind of overstated. It's as far as like high tech systems go, AI is kind of in the middle. There's other things that use a lot more electricity, a lot more resources. There's definitely things that use less. So, yeah, yeah. Lugi writes, I think AI is good as an outlet to fully flesh out your own ideas and help realize them. Yeah, I agree. How do you learn to code with AI? Oh, here's something I do. DaVinci Resolve. It's a editing and special effects program. It's kind of like After Effects plus Premiere, if you think of it in those terms. And the manual is 800 pages. Let's imagine for a moment that you're 63 years old and you don't have any patience for nonsense anymore, and there's no chance that you're going to get through, and you've already got 500 other apps, how they work in your head, including apps that nobody's used in the last 5 years. So that's the situation I have. Now I'm trying to get good at DaVinci Resolve. I'm hosed. I'm just hosed. But here is a thing that happens sometimes. Go to AI, go to ChatGPT, and I say, hey, I'm using DaVinci Resolve. I have this and this and this, and I want to figure out how to mask X over Y. And it's like, bam, here's how you do it. You use this widget and that widget, and then I use that, and it's just a treat. And so it's a way you can learn how to do something new. Yes, some guy said double-edged sword. Strobel said AI is truly a double-edged sword. Absolutely. That's a really good way to put it. Do I know how to code AI? I don't pretend. I've read about it some. I understand matrix math reasonably well. Uh, but some of the training algorithms are a little fancy. So that's a little outside of my area of expertise. I used to work with, no, I'm not going to name drop. I only want to name drop if it's funny. Good night for those who are going to bed. It is late. Is microwaving a potato a valid way to cook it? Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. If you're going to bake a potato, you just have to bake it to death. They need so much cooking. Even with a microwave, it still takes a long time. Christopher Lee. Yeah, I have read a modest amount of that guy. I don't know a lot about machine learning. I know a little bit about machine learning. I've written some simple but quite amusing, hill climbing kind of optimizers. Those are fun. Yeah, but everything's all libraries now. Um, is a hot dog a sandwich? Why do I get that question so often? Yes, a hot dog is a sandwich. But also, no, a hot dog is not a sandwich. But yes, it's a sandwich. Favorite Star Wars movie is Empire. Have I written any books? I've written a fair bunch of short stories. Opinions on psychology. Psychology was one of my two majors in college, so yes, I feel good things about that. Um, Engineer subclass. I am not familiar with that term, engineer. Um, I have two kinds of engineers I play. One is fairly stock rescue ranger engineer, where my whole goal in life is to very carefully place a level 3 sentry where the other guys can't get it, but if they take one step over the line, they're going to die instantly. And then I just hold the left mouse button down I got my dispenser right behind me. I got my sentry right in front of me, and I just hold the left mouse button down, so I'm constantly wrenching that sentry. And the other, how much do you hate the sequels trilogy? They're not that great. They're not. I want to like them, but did I read Sherlock Holmes? I have read the complete works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, yes. Although it has been a long time. Um, See, I get distracted and then I can't even remember what I was going back to. What was I talking about? Engineer. Oh yeah, the other kind of engineer, of course, is the guy with the mini sentry. You got the robot hand, you got the mini sentry. I call that sentry the annoying engineer because mini sentry can't ever stay up late, can't stay up very long. So you sneak out into the battlefield, you deploy a mini sentry, you run off. The mini sentry is just the most annoying thing. So you keep the other team annoyed as much as possible. Those are the two styles of engineer that I play. Do you know about the 4K 77, 80, and 83 projects for restoring the original without any of I'm not familiar that there was of the fact that there was a project to do that. Those were all since I was alive in 77, I saw all the movies in their original cut. I remember Han shooting first, Han Solo. I remember Han shot Greedo first, and then they changed it so Greedo shot first, so whatever. Is the sea a soup? I'm going to say no. That guy says, I main heavy. You can probably tell why I dislike the demo man. I would think your hate would be particularly reserved for sniper and spy. But yes, demo man can definitely be a problem. I have in my one and only Let's Play video in TF2, I am running around the corner right as demo man's running around the corner I drop a sticky and it's a crit, and I take 3 steps backwards and right click, and the heavy's all gone. So that was fun. Repeat after me. Random crits are fair and balanced. If the ocean is a soup, then chat, I hope you all like microplastics. If you could fight any fictional character, who would it be? I gotta think about that. Okay, a bunch of people keep asking me Rogue One. Rogue One was pretty good. Rogue One was pretty good. Have I played the Battlefront games? You're talking about the Star Wars Battlefront games? I absolutely have. I played them with Alex. Alex and I used to play Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2. You know, I'll tell you, Alex and I lived together, you know, because I went through a divorce from Alex's mom at some point. There was a fair bit of what do I want to say? You know, figuring out who's living where and when and so forth. That was a lot of a mess. But there was a lot of time where it was just Alex and me in the house. And I was actually telling the story to Stacy. I got this house, and I bought the house, and I had nothing. I had a futon. That was what I had. I had a 3-sectional fold-out futon. And at night, I think I got a TV pretty quick. And then we got a card table. So we had a card table with 4 chairs, 4 little folding chairs. And that was all the furniture we had for a little while, a few months. And we would go to bed at night. I would sleep on the futon. Alex would sleep on the floor. We had a couple of blankets. It was just him and me. It's just him and me. And we used to play Team Fortress 2 together. We played Portal 2 together. We played various games together. We did things together. We went to things together. And we were always joking. The jokes were nonstop. And the number one goal was see if you could get the other guy to laugh his hiney off. And Alex, of course, as you guys all know, hilarious. That guy's hilarious. And yeah, that was bachelor life with me and Alex. We were it sounds nice. It was so nice. It was so nice. I'm 63. I'll say again, I'm 63 years old. Did you ever play Lego games? I haven't played the Lego video games, but I grew up on Lego. Lego was a huge part of my childhood. It was a much bigger part of my childhood than it was Alex's childhood. I have not played Left 4 Dead. I've played a little bit of that. What's that one? Was he ever funny looking? Was he ever not funny looking? I mean, he turned out handsome in the end, but I remember him when he was, a dorky looking 3rd grader who fell on the playground, and he was without his 2 front center top teeth for quite a while. So yes, Lego is the most awesome thing. Whew, boy. How old are you in your heart, though? I want to say 17. I want to say 17. When you look at what makes me laugh, when you look at the TV shows I watch, when you look at what I respond to, I think I'm late teens. I think I'm late teens. Stories that Alex wanted to write. Alex wanted to write stories like epic fantasy novels, but also fantasy comedy novels. He actually some of his novel stories, he had a bunch of them in his head. And no, they did not get written down. I'm not even aware of outlines or anything, but he would tell me scenes from his stories as he was composing them in his head. And uh, some of them were comedic. Like he had a story about a world where magic is real, but one of the things is that wizards can always sense other wizards, right? Like if you're in a whole room full of people and you're a wizard and some other guy is also magically adept, you just know right away that guy. You can just tell. Except the rumors are that, centuries ago, there were one or two guys who could actually conceal their magical abilities, but they were so powerful. They had to be that powerful in order to conceal their magical abilities. And there was a guy, it's kind of an Iseki kind of thing. Some guy comes from our world and he transports into this magical world, and he has no talent. It isn't one of those ones where like, oh, I transport into this world and I discover I'm the chosen one, or even just that I can do magic. Nope. It's just some dumb guy. He's just some dumb guy with no abilities. But through a series of coincidences, he keeps the things that he does continue to be mistaken for magical talents, except when the wizards finally come on the scene to try to deal with this new guy, they cannot sense his magical abilities. And that makes them all freak out because this guy must be powerful beyond anything. And he had a whole series of crazy farcical stories about that character and how he played. That over the course of the entire story, the guy is constantly getting buffeted around by, this force or that force. This kingdom is after him or whatever. And then finally, towards the very end, finally he takes control of his destiny and he starts really being a player. And it was a great story. It was a great story. Mob Psycho. I watched Mob Psycho. Alex got me into Mob Psycho. Yeah. Avatar: The Last Airbender, arguably the greatest animated series ever made. Similar to King from One Punch Man. Yeah, there's a certain certain connection there. Would you consider doing a TF2 side series? Yeah, I'm totally going to be doing TF2 stuff, more TF2 stuff. I'm not particularly plugged into the Bay Area rationalist scene. In the 80s, I was plugged into the Bay Area pagan scene. And people like, I guess, Diana Paxson and those folks. What was that? There was a house in Berkeley with all the writers. I used to go to that at times. It's probably nobody even remembers what that is anymore. I haven't seen Attack on Titan. What was the first Techno's YouTube video you saw? I used to watch Studio Lore videos. My Hero Academia. Yes, I'm in the Bay Area. I'm on the peninsula. I've said that publicly before. I'm on the peninsula. What was I even talking about? Some kind of anime thing. Hunter x Hunter. Yeah, I saw that. Oh, My Hero Academia. That's what I was talking about. So I have a lot of kids, and sometimes I have this problem where I find a new show like My Hero Academia, and I say to my kids, hey, let's watch the show. And so together we watch like the first 3 episodes, and then I have to work hard for a couple of days, and I come back, and they're on episode 19. And they don't want to go back, and I don't want to go forward, and I'm just screwed. So I had that happen with My Hero Academia, and I haven't gone back to it, but I certainly intend to watch MHA at some point. Techno is All Might to me. That's not a bad comparison. What I can remember is looking over his shoulder, watching Alex playing Minecraft, and he's fighting guys. He's just just got a sword, doing melee combat, and I'm watching. And he walks up to some guy, Click, 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 click. That guy's dead. He walks up to the next guy. Click, 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 click. That guy's dead. He walks up to the next guy, shoots his bow. Click, click, click. That guy's dead. And he's got 10 hearts the whole time. He's got 10 hearts the whole time. And I literally said this to him at some point. It's like, Alex, do they know you're there? Are you invisible to them? Are you just killing these people and they don't even know what's happening? They don't seem to, you seem completely impervious. And he's like, no, we're fighting. It's a fight. It's a regular fight. They can see me. And I'm like, it doesn't look like it when I'm watching. And, and he comes up to another guy and he goes like, bang, 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 bang. The guy dies and he says, see, that guy hit me. So he took one hit from a guy. It was just crazy. Free-Ren is absolutely lovely. It reminds me maybe a little bit of Violet Evergarden, which I absolutely loved. I do like, one thing I like about Free-Ren is how much of the things of significance in the story all happened in the past before the story even opened, right? We get a couple of flashbacks to the 10-year journey to defeat the Demon King, but mostly all that's just over and done with. And in many cases, the characters have passed. So that's kind of nice. Good night to those who were taken off. Good night if you have to leave. 1 a.m. for me. Violet Evergarden is so good. So good. Yeah. That was me repeating something somebody said, which I agreed with. I repeated it because I agreed with it. That makes sense. Nobody's mentioned Steven Universe, so I'm going to mention Steven Universe. That is a great show. I've seen it beginning to end several times, and it's completely me. Do I have a waifu? If you mean like, do I have a human wife? Then yes, I do. I do have a human wife. I don't have a body pillow. I don't have anything holographic that I'm married to. I have an actual human wife who is the most amazing woman in the world. And who texted me congratulations on 1 million the moment that I got it. Rick and Morty. Yeah, Rick and Morty is absolutely hilarious. It's its own thing. It's perfect. What about Squid Kid? I have a lot of respect for Squid Kid. What was Techno's hardest AP class? I'll tell you a story about Techno and AP. I've told this story before, but it maybe hasn't disseminated too widely. Before his senior year, I was talking to Alex about what he was going to do, for the coming school year. And he says, Dad, I was thinking I was going to take this AP US history, but this sheet here says it's got 3 hours of homework a night. I'm not doing that. So he did not take AP US history, but he did read the study guide the night before taking the AP test for US history, and he did get a 5. I used to watch South Park. I kind of got tired of it. But yeah, certainly hilarious and raunchy, and a bunch of my friends got 4s. They were so mad. Yeah, nobody ever forgave him for that. That kid was. I like to think I'm pretty smart. I honestly do, in fact, have objective evidence that I'm pretty smart. I worked for very high-end tech companies and did very well there. I got high scores on my SATs and on and on. Alex was so much smarter than I am. I was totally expecting him to be smart, but I was not expecting him to be that smart. It was just crazy. Yes, I'm doing more TF2. He got a 5. It's graded on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 is the best score. I've watched Family Guy, of course. I've seen a ton of Family Guy. I haven't seen it all because Oh my God, there's so much Family Guy. I've seen a lot. Uh, yeah, Australia. Did Techno watch the Vinland Saga? I think he might have. I haven't seen Kaguya-sama, but I know there Kaguya. I'm reading stuff as it goes strolling by. Who do I have? So I'll tell you something about me in video games that's I think hard to really explain the importance of it. But the thing is, I'm left-handed. I'm left-handed. So anytime I'm playing a video game that requires a mouse, I'm playing with my bad hand. I'm aiming with my bad hand, and I think I'm. It's just you're just screwed. You know, there's no. You can't mouse with your left hand. The whole world is designed to be used by right-handed people. So, what do you do? Who's my favorite YouTuber? Um, yes, I've watched One Piece. My favorite YouTuber. I don't know if I have a favorite. I like Hank Green. I like. Do you guys know that pitch meeting guy, Ryan George? I think those pitch meeting videos are hilarious. No, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. That question has an obvious answer. My favorite YouTuber is Technoblade. How did I miss that one? Do I enjoy ghost stories? Yes. Become right handed. I wish it worked that way. To the extent that that's possible to do, I've done that. But it's not completely possible to do. Um, how did I meet Alex's mom? Oh, that's a good story, but I'm crashing a little bit, so I'm gonna save that one for later. I've read a little bit of the TF2 comics, but not comprehensively. Um, thank you, folks. Yes, the world is made. Have you considered getting a left-handed mouse? Yes. The thing is, I started mousing in 1980. I don't know, somewhere in the 80s. So I've been mousing right-handed for 40 years. So maybe just eat right hands for 2 weeks. That's actually an interesting idea. I haven't seen K-pop Demon Hunters, but it's pretty high on my must-watch list. I'm still working my way through Peacemaker and Pluribus. Have you guys seen Pluribus? Oh my lord, what a show! I have not watched Chris Hansen. Have you got into Linux stuff? Yeah, absolutely. Um, I have many Linux computers, and I have had many Linux computers, and you know, Ubuntu is the thing lately. Yes, I do like Peacemaker. Favorite hobby? What was Techno's favorite hobby? I'm gonna say violin. Alex watched Ninjago. I haven't seen it. Yes, Invincible. Definitely watched Invincible. Watched the. I'm still in the. There's. I have not finished the comic yet. One of my kids, Apollo, has read the comic end to end. Have I seen Matlock? Yes. Opinion on turtles. I like turtles a good deal. The Great and Powerful Turtle is a character made by George R. R. Martin. That's an amazing character. I had pet turtles when I was a kid, and I tweeted about this. I was shocked to discover I went around to try to figure out what species of turtle did I have when I was a kid, and I eventually figured it out. And it turned out that species of turtle was declared illegal in the United States in 1972. 1972. Can't have them as pets anymore. Pretty wild. I don't remember what I named my turtles. I think I had like three of them. Am I a cat person or a dog person? Both. I'd probably give the edge to dog. But is there a video of Techno playing violin? I don't think there is. I've looked for it. I've looked for it. Did Techno read books? Yes, he did. He read a lot of stuff. I recommended him a lot of stuff. He read stuff that he got on his own. How good was Techno at fencing? I didn't get to see him do much of that, but he was great at everything he did, or else he didn't do it. Why were they illegal though? There was a various. It's an invasive species that was destroying things for other endangered species. I don't recall the exact details, but apparently it was bad for the country. One day before Techno's death, did you know he was going to die? We knew, he decided to discontinue treatment about 3 weeks before the end. So, and I'll tell you, I was thinking about this just the other day. It was actually a lovely 3 weeks. It was a lovely 3 weeks. He had a birthday. We hung out. We saw the new Batman movie during that time. There's a lot of time where it was, I'll tell you something else I remember from that time that was really nice. I would so he was in his new house. He bought a house when he was 22. What a god. What a guy. So we spent a lot of time over at his house. And, he was slowing down, I think is probably a good way to say it. And I would bring Floof over, and I was always really worried, like, as he's getting more tired, is he going to be sick of Floof? So every so often I would be like, hey, I'm going to come over. Should I bring Floof or leave him at home? And he always said, bring Floof. So that was pretty cool. I'm going to steer away from things that are going to make me cry at this point because I don't want to cry. It's 1 million subscribers. Woohoo! We win these. So, yeah. What else have we got going on? People asking me, am I going to make more TF2 videos? I've said that a bunch of times, but yes. What are my thoughts on Gothic literature like Wuthering Heights? Yeah, I've read a bunch of 19th century books. I enjoy that a good deal. Of course, you got your Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And I like Jane Austen, which is not really Gothic, but it's the same period. Yeah, I love that stuff. My birthday is September 2, 1962. What are his favorite books? He loved the Harry Potter stuff, but then he got so disappointed in J.K. It's enough said on that. If I considered becoming goth, something that I have said in the past was if they had goth, if goth had been a thing when I was in high school, I think I would have done it. I like black. I was very edgy as a high schooler. I read a lot of poetry that was all about death. Not even joking. Classic, super depressing poetry. So yeah, I could have totally gone. Do I remember the JFK assassination? I don't, but I remember the moon landings. And I remember Star Trek, the original series, waiting for a new episode to come out. When it hits midnight, can you pull up the Daily Wordle? How does it feel to be 121st as powerful as your son? It feels great. It's 11:53 for me. What was Techno's inspiration to do YouTube? I want to say it was like the Yogscast people and folks like the people who made like when he got into TF2, he started going to YouTube to find videos about how to get better. And he found people like Lazy Purple. He was absolutely inspired to death by those early TF2 YouTubers. That was what was inspiration. How was poetry though? I love poetry. I love poetry to death. Um, and like when I was in high school and in college, I read a lot of A.E. Housman. So if you ever are feeling the need for a kind of like indulging the sad side of your psyche, go read some A.E. Housman. So good, so good. Do I have a comfort food? I eat everything. Since Alex died, I've gained about 50 pounds. It's pretty clear that I'm eating my grief, if you know what I mean. I'm eating to deal with my grief. I'm starting to get serious about the idea of getting back to my old size. It's kind of, how do you donate to the stream? Thank you so much. I love you. At some point, I'm gonna get my act together and enable those kinds of things. Favorite Star Trek characters. Growing up, it was Spock. It was always Spock. Spock was, all the nerds were like totally in love with Spock. I have not read Wheel of Time. I've read a certain amount of like Terry Pratchett stuff. What violin pieces did Techno play? Oh, I don't remember. He also would compose for violin. Yes, anyone who wants permission to do art with Alex with Technoblade in it, sorry, Technoblade art, please feel free. Have I heard of Hightail? Yes, I am gonna get involved in that. Um, right now, I'm focusing on Skyblock. Yeah, if people, so I should say, I do appreciate that I make a little bit of money off of YouTube. I think I probably break even with my channel because I spend a fair amount of money making my videos sometimes, and they don't make a ton. Um, so yeah, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't like money or anything. I'm not trying to be like that guy who says, oh, I don't even have a TV. I'm not doing that. But I will say that I'm doing pretty well in life. I had a long career as a computer programmer during the boom times. So don't worry about me as far as that goes. But I will say, if you are interested in doing something to spend some money to make the world a better place, please consider visiting oneofusglobal.org, where you can read about the foundation that my wife and I founded in honor of my boy Technoblade. Came for the nepotism, stayed for the content. I think that's the story of my channel. I am one of us. One of us. I am being absolutely coy about what, if anything, I'm doing to train, because if I said anything publicly, it would get back to Dream, and Sun Tzu would not be impressed with me. I've not read any Iranian poetry, although I've read a fair bit of Rumi. Does that? I mean, I know that's not Iranian, but from sitting where I am in California, the and I know Persia is not an Arabic speaking country. They speak Persian. So, whatever. What do I think of antinatalism? I think that if you don't want to have children, that's a perfectly reasonable approach. I think the Reddit posts that I've seen from the antinatalism sub are hilarious. Just hilarious. I haven't read the manga of Hunter x Hunter, but I've seen the anime. The only manga I've really read to any degree is the One Punch Man manga, which I've read all the way through like 3 times. And by the way, they're late. The latest episode is late. It was supposed to come out like a week ago. What is up with that? everybody always asks me about elbow reveal, but my big plan is at 10 million subs, I'm doing a face reveal. So you can count on that. I haven't played Roblox. Alex played a lot of Roblox. Others of my kids played Roblox. I have a lot of respect for Roblox, but I haven't played it myself. Yes, I am Greek. I'm 50% Greek. My mom grew up speaking Greek. I grew up speaking a little bit of Greek, which is all gone now. But yeah, I got a whole lot of very, very Greek relatives, and I eat a lot of lamb. That's kind of a joke, but also not. Yeah, there's been a lot of negative comments about One Punch Man season 3. I think there's some valid criticism in there, but I think that the degree of criticism is overdone. In particular, the big fight scene in the last episode between Flashy Flash and Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame was that was pretty great. I enjoyed it. That was good. I don't I don't know if Alex ever played horror games. He played a fair number of games, but yeah, somebody's pointing out that I said I was only going to be on for a short time, and now I've been here for like, how long have I been here? I have no idea. I think my wife's probably asleep. Um, I've gained like 1,000 subs over the course of this. Oh, see, I'm supposed to say subscribe, and I'm supposed to have like a call to action. I'm terrible at self promotion. I don't have donations enabled. I don't. I don't have a call to action. Um, I already have a. There's a Mr. Disco. It's getting late. There's a Mr. Technodad Discord server. And I don't know nothing about Discord, so I can't really tell you how to find it, but it's out there. Yeah, I am kind of fading. What advice to an aspiring computer programmer? Um, Code. Write code. Write as much code as you can. You can write, if you've got a laptop or a desktop computer, there's all kinds of free programming languages out there like Java, or you find a free C compiler. Write code. Write code. Yeah, Skyblock. I'm going to do stuff with Skyblock, but I don't even know enough to know what I'm going to do with Skyblock yet. It's in strong contrast to the whole TF2 plans, because I got a whole bunch of TF2 plans. I got a lot of videos in my head, and I need to start making them. Oh, you know what I'm going to do? And good night for everybody who's signing off. Good night. Thank you for joining us. I love you guys. Woohoo! I'm going to do, so I've done Cooking with Mr. Technodad 1, 2, and 3. There's going to be a 4 and a 5. They're both in my head. I just need to make them. And I am hard. Do I stream regularly? No, I don't. But I think I need to. I need to start doing some streaming. Maybe I could play, something. I don't know. I don't have clarity about that yet. Um, yes, it is getting late. How do you like my ASMR voice? The dog is very disturbed by my switching my tone of voice there. Uh, Solus is a nerd. Do a video of learning how to play Skyblock. Yeah, that's kind of my plan. Favorite coding IDE is there was a Java IDE called, oh God, what was it called? Code. I can't remember. It was made in Germany. It was the best IDE for any language that I've ever used. It was unbelievable. It had a debugger. Any debugger will let you sidestep, step over, or, step into or step over or whatever. This IDE, you could step backwards. You stepped over a line of code you didn't mean to step over. Oh, mistake. I'm going to step back. How's that for a feature? It was just amazing. Code Guide. I think that's what it was called. It's a Java IDE called Code Guide. That was my all-time favorite. I've never found one that I've liked as much. I use NetBeans when I need to, or else I just use VI. I don't like Eclipse. I had some very bad experiences with Eclipse when it was in beta, and I'm old, so I'm not going to bother forgiving them. NetBeans, yeah, I use NetBeans. Do I love it? I don't. I don't love it, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Most IDEs let you step back nowadays, according to some guy who has the word mustard in his name. Thank you for that. Yeah, but when I was using Code Guide, nobody had that. It was awesome. Xcode. I don't have a lot of experience with Xcode. I'll tell you, I'm old school. A lot of times I just fire up VI and I type a text file in and I compile it, and it works because I've been doing that for 40 years. So, you know, what do you do? What is my favorite pastime? I like cartoons. I like video games. I told you I'm just like a teen boy. I like cartoons and video games, and I like telling stories. I like telling stories, and I like making videos. I enjoy that a good deal. Writing software has been crazy fun for me in the past. Can you please narrate audiobooks? Okay, so there's an idea. I could do just like an audio stream where I tell a bedtime story. Do you know how many bedtime stories I've told? It's got to be thousands. I have so many kids, and I've told them so many bedtime stories. Adventure Time is one of the greatest shows ever made. My third, I finished my third complete Adventure Time watch through. It's got 10 seasons, so that's not an easy thing to do, a complete watch through. Finished my third complete watch through of Adventure Time like 3 days ago. I think it has one of the best last episodes of any show I have ever seen. And the last scene with Jake and Finn and the music hole, it makes me cry every time. So good. And every single character, the most obscure characters imaginable, everybody gets a send-off. Everybody gets a send-off. Somebody asks about, mods are deleting those kind of questions. Yeah. Alex's estate still owns Alex's house. So I mean, nominally I have control over it, but I don't own it. Of course, I'm watching Fiona and Cake. Of course, I am watching Fiona and Cake. Of course, I watched Distant Lands. I've watched Distant Lands all the way through several times. I've seen Gravity Falls. I used to watch Gravity Falls with Alex. Futurama. Somebody asked about Steven Universe a few minutes ago. Might be one of Steven Universe is certainly an all-time top 5 favorite show ever. Just an amazing thing. I have made some video games in the distant past. It wasn't so much my interest. Steven Universe, number 1. Yeah. Is the Alex estate like the Tolkien estate? I don't know, maybe. Like in what sense? I haven't seen Attack on Titan. Owl House, absolutely seen Owl House, absolutely seen Amphibia. Alex's favorite Gravity Falls character, I'm just going to mention Seuss. Over the Garden Wall, yeah, I've seen that. Okay, I'm gonna finish with a yes, I've seen Owl House. Did you ever read the Lord of the Rings books, or did you just see the movies? I don't know how many times I've read the books all the way through, but it's more than 12. More than 12. In fact, I have probably read the books more than I've seen the movies, and I've seen the movies a lot. I did know that Rebecca Sugar worked on Adventure Time, and she's got a cameo. I feel like she's got a cameo in Amphibia, maybe. Yeah, Alex read Harry Potter. I have not read the Harry Potter books, but I've seen the movies. Every time I do anything Harry Potter related, I feel like, first of all, I'm betraying all my trans friends, and second of all, I'm betraying Tolkien. So I hope that doesn't make anybody feel bad. I know Harry Potter has been absolutely a touchstone for the current generation, but you must have a ton of free time. These days, I do. Years and years and years, I was a working stiff. I had a job. I get up in the morning. I drive to work. I work all day. I come home. I had many, many years like that. I'm not, I have been very fortunate. I have been very blessed in a lot of ways, including financially. But don't think that that doesn't mean that I didn't have to go to work every day, year after year after year after year, sit in a cubicle and bang out code. Yeah. Do I take hugs? I absolutely take hugs. I absolutely take fist bumps. And I take virtual hugs. I don't know what my plan is to stream TF2. I'll think about something like that. I am excited for Hightail. I was very excited. I tweeted about. I blue sky skeeted about it. Whatever the heck you call that thing. That's so annoying. The terminology issue. Um, all right. It's getting time to wind down. I did see a request a couple of times that did work for me. That did. Get the heat on in here? No. I'm getting warm because it's late. Thank you, everybody who's sending hugs and who are sending fist bumps. Yes, I will play Hightail. I've listened to a few audiobooks, but not a ton of them. Remember to stay hydrated. Yeah, it's time for bedtime story. It's time for bedtime story. So I'm going to tell you guys a bedtime story. I'm going to turn my head away from the chat. So starting now, as much as I love and appreciate you guys, I need to look away from the chat. So I'm going to be ignoring what you're typing. There's a place I have to go to tell a bedtime story. And it takes me a moment to get there. So there's going to be a little dead air while I go to my bedtime storytelling place. And I will also say, just to set expectations, sometimes they come out great and sometimes they're kind of duds. And 10 minutes ago, I didn't know I was going to tell a bedtime story. So you get what you get. All right. I need a protagonist. That's not a good conflict. Okay, I like that idea. Okay. All right. I got something. We'll see where this goes. I got to check off one or two more details in my head here. Yeah, right. Okay. And by way of background, every bedtime story I've ever told has always started with the same line. Once upon a time, in the land of Muzi Muzi, there lived a family of raccoons. The raccoons. All right, I have to set the place first, the setting. Everyone is familiar with the great road that runs north and south through the land of Muzi Muzi down to the great river. Fewer people are aware of the trade routes that run east and west out of the capital city or out of some of the larger metropolises. Very few people have been as far as the great woods in the foothills of the mountains to the far west. Few people have been to those forests. Those forests are very old and very wise and filled with very deep things. And some people have heard tales that the animals in the great forest can talk and that they have houses and jobs and businesses. And by and large, everyone in Muzi Muzi considers that, just a bedtime story kind of a thing. But the fact is, if you go far enough west, after the farms start to dwindle, after the trees really just take over, the animals do in fact talk and cooperate and argue and make romance, try to meet a nice girl, try to start a family. There was one particular village, a very small village, that housed, I would say it was about 200 raccoons, organized into families. Little cottages, cottages that came up to your knees. If you were someone from the capital city who had wandered off the trading routes and gotten completely lost, and you came across this village, you would think someone was playing a terrible joke on you. What is this joke? These little scale model cottages. The architecture kind of looked like it did in the city of Calpurnia in the south, a fishing village. Calpurnia was once a fishing village, but had grown into a mighty trading center. And this little village in the woods had a similar style of architecture, but it wasn't because of any deep technology exchange that they'd done. It was because this village was on the banks of a little tributary that wound down from the mountains and then turned south and wound all the way through the farms and eventually joined the great river. And the raccoons in this village were fishermen. Raccoons love fish. There was a goodly population of trout. When you get far away from where the people are, you see more and more fish in the rivers, more birds at the tops of the trees, more raccoons in the villages, and other animals, like if you asked any raccoon, they would tell you there is a bad section of the woods where there's a lot of hedgehogs and badgers, and really the raccoons just don't associate with the denizens of that part of the forest. So, yeah. Well, there was a young raccoon named George who lived in one of those little cottages, and his dad was a regular fisherman. His dad got up every morning, went down to the stream where the trout leapt, where the water flipped off of their skin and landed on the rocks that were baking in the sun. The wind was cool as the breeze came down from the mountain and blew through the forest. It was a cool breeze that blew eastward. George's dad got up every morning and went down to the stream and caught fish. It was a lovely life. And, most of the men in the village and some of the women used to catch fish. That was really what this village was all about. That was what these um, that was what these cottages, why they had been built here, why this village had come into existence. It was a traditional raccoon way of life, fishing. But there were other businesses in the village because, you like a certain amount of variation. You don't want to just have every meal be fish all the time. And so there were other things. There were, you know, people who uh, people who gathered the wood for the fire pits where they would, you can take a trout. If you're a raccoon, you can take a trout and just eat it straight. But that's kind of more for the deep forest raccoons. If you're a respectable raccoon who lives in a cottage, you're going to want to cook that fish. And that means you need a fire pit. And some raccoons, their job was to go and get twigs and sticks that you could stick your trout on the end of and cook it over the fire. And it just gave it a nice, crispy taste. So delicious. But they want to eat other things too. And that really, the most prized luxury food in the village was bread. A delicious loaf of bread. It's the perfect thing to have with your trout. The thing is, there aren't too many ways for raccoons to get bread. But our little boy named George, when he grew up, he was like, trout is okay, but bread is really the best thing. Bread is what really gets me excited. Well, his parents were like, George, come on. You gotta be realistic. There's much more supply and much more demand for trout. We don't get bread very often. But George said, no, I want that to change. I'm not satisfied with the world the way it is. There's more to life than just trout. And I want to help bring a supply of bread to the village. Well, his parents just thought that was ridiculous. And they made him learn how to catch trout. His dad was like, George, come on down to the river with me. We're gonna catch trout together. And George was like, Dad, it's really not what I want to do. George, we've talked about this a bunch. Whatever else you end up doing, you know what? It's important that you know how to catch trout. And honestly, you should be able to catch small birds too. I don't think I've taught you how to catch small birds yet. Well, George, like any teenager, he just gave a big sigh. Because what does his dad know? So the thing that was maddening about it, though, was it was like his parents weren't paying any attention to what he was telling them was in his heart. What was in his heart was he wanted to bring a supply of bread to the village. He wanted everyone to be able to have bread whenever they wanted it. And sure, people think of it as a luxury, but it doesn't have to be a luxury. If we could really figure out how to do that, that would change the world. That would change the life of the people who lived in the village. And it was just really what he wanted. It was what was in his heart. And it was like his parents didn't listen. I just, small birds. Oh, trout. Like everything is all about trout. So, all right, I made a mistake. I looked away. I looked at the chat for a second. It sucked my brain in. So, getting my head back. I'm turning my laptop away from me so I can't see it anymore. My apologies. Apologies for the interruption. Well, George was a dutiful son, not particularly rebellious, even though he had a very clear idea of what he wanted to do. So he did what his parents asked. He learned how to catch small birds. He learned how to catch trout. He learned the different ways you can sneak up on a fish. And you know the thing that just blows a raccoon's mind when you first get down to the stream is if you reach your hand into the stream, it looks like it's going at the wrong angle. It doesn't go straight. It actually bends right at the point where your little hand hits the water. So you have to learn how to account for that when you're reaching to grab a fish. Otherwise, you will grab right where the fish is not, and the fish will get away. So George dutifully learned how to do all those things. But the day came when George felt big enough, strong enough, grown up enough. He said, now I am going to follow my own destiny. Now I am not my mother and father's son. Now I am my own self. And he had clarity. And his parents were like, oh my God, you're making such a terrible mistake. He's like, Mother, I love you. Father, I love you. I thank both of you for what you've done for me, but I have to follow my heart. And so George set out. He set out to go east. Remember, he was in the far west, so, he didn't want to go up in the mountains. You're not going to find bread there. But everybody knew there was bread to be found in the human villages. So George came down out of the foothills, and one day when he was wandering around, he came across a path. And it wasn't like a nice animal track, It wasn't like the paths that the deer make. The deer make such good paths. Ask any raccoon, you'll hear a lot of respect for the kind of paths that the deers make. Deer are really good at that. And any smart raccoon is going to follow a deer path. But this path, there was something different about it. First of all, it was a lot wider than a deer path. And it smelled funny. George had heard about, they called them people. George had heard about people as being, further down out of the hills. He'd never seen one. But he knew that that's where bread comes from. So he followed this path, followed it eastward, and every so often he would hear a crazy noise, like people crashing through the brush, like they didn't have any respect for anything. No, like they weren't concerned that they were going to get eaten by bears, nothing. And he would dart off the path and hide in a bush and look out with his little bandit eyes and see. And there were these upright creatures, not upright like a bear, but like they were upright all the time. He thought those must be people. They made a lot of sounds with their mouth. But he could understand some of it, It wasn't completely dissimilar to the raccoon language. But it sounded a little funny, like they had these crazy accents. Well, when those people turned around and were going back where they came from, he snuck out of his bush, and he followed them down the path. Eventually, the path widened out, and there was a clearing. There weren't any trees anymore, which made George very nervous, because where do you hide if there's no trees? But the path widened out, and he saw a crazy village of human cottages. They were so tall. Why did they make them so big? Those cottages were huge, George thought. But then he realized, these people, they're so big, they need like a giant door just to get in the cottage. It's crazy. Well, he snuck around the edges of the village for days, watching what people were doing. And you know what people do that's just crazy but also wonderful at the same time? They throw things away. They throw away so many things. They throw away bread, for one thing. They throw away old vegetables that are still good, I mean, they might be going a little soft, but you can still eat them. And they throw away meat they just throw away so much stuff. George, honestly, at first, he was regularly getting kind of a tummy ache from such a. He's never had such a diverse diet before. I'll tell you that. Eventually he decided he wasn't going to eat so much of the thrown away food because it made him feel kind of except for the bread. Instead, he started hunting the little birds around the edge of the village, and he remembered what his dad taught him about how to catch little birds, and they felt a lot better in his stomach after that. And he thought, you know what? Mom and Dad were right. I do need to know how to catch birds. It gave him a newfound appreciation of his parents, because even though his parents didn't really try to understand him as much as he would have liked them to, they still knew how to do a lot of things. Well, one day, George woke up to a crazy, amazing smell. Somebody was cooking bread. It turns out that there was a baker in town. There was a building in the town, and the only thing that happened in that building was making bread. Like, they made bread. Could you believe such a thing was possible? George really didn't know how bread came into existence. It was really something nuts, something mind-blowing. So he would get up in the morning before the sun was up, and he would go position himself so that he could look in the window of the bread maker, and he watched everything that was happening. And every so often the bread maker would look over at him, and they would make eye contact, and George would make a little squeaky sound and run for the trees. He certainly did not want to be caught. Certainly did not want anyone coming near him. The thing is, as the days went by, the next time, let's change that from as the days went by to the next day. The next day when George came before the dawn to stake out his little post by the baker's, there was a tiny little dinner roll. And I say by tiny, it was like the size of George's head. It was small for what the baker made. There was a little dinner roll on the sill of the window that George went to look in. Well, as you can imagine, he started to tear into it, but then he thought, you know what? I don't want to eat this too fast. So he actually slowed down, different from how the other raccoons of the village would do it. He slowed down and he ate that dinner roll slowly and carefully. And you know what? When you ate it slowly, it tasted even better, as if such a thing were possible. And it was, I don't know how to get this idea across to you, but it was absolutely fresh. It had been made the day before. It was the freshest bread that George had ever had. Normally, when a raccoon gets a hold of bread, as delicious as it is, it's not the freshest thing in the world. So George took up his post and he watched the baker bake bread. And every so often the baker would look over at him and George wouldn't run away. And the baker would smile and George would smile back. And they each kind of pretended like they didn't know the other one was there. But as the day wore on, they both kind of didn't feel like they needed to do that anymore. By the end of the day, the baker went over to the window and he reached over to the window and he pulled it up and it made a really scary noise. And George skittered back 10 feet. But the baker just stood there and he had another dinner roll. And so George came back. And the baker said, you want this? You want this? It's a good roll. The baker had this crazy weird accent. It's not like how raccoons talk. It was some weird kind of funny voice he had. But, you could tell what he was saying. George came back up to the window and he said, yeah, I do want that. And the baker was like, hey, you can talk. I hear stories. The raccoons can talk. You must be from the West. The raccoons in the East, they don't talk. George's like, I don't know anything about that. I just, my parents taught me grammar and good diction. You talk funny, though. The baker said, hey, it's funny you think I talk funny. I think you talk funny. George said, look, I just want to know, how do you make this bread? You want to know how I make bread? Who ever heard of a thing like a raccoon want to make bread? That's crazy. George said, it's the only thing I've ever wanted, is to make bread. The baker said, okay, you come in. You sleep here tonight. Tomorrow we make bread. And true to his word, the next day, the baker came back to the bakery and he showed George how you take the flour, how you add water, how you make the dough a certain consistency, and you have to knead the flour. And the first time the baker handed him a bunch of dough, it was a piece of it's a chunk of bread dough that was almost as big as George was, and his little tiny raccoon hands. It just didn't make any sense. And the baker was like, oh my gosh, what am I do? This is not the right size for you. So he just tore a piece off of that big slab and he handed it to George. And he showed George, he demonstrated how you knead, but he just used his index fingers because they was about the same size as George's hands. And he watched George kneading and he demonstrated to his own the big loaf, the big thing of dough, and George had the small thing of dough, and they worked in parallel. And they worked like that together for weeks and weeks. And the baker was very careful not to tell anybody that there was anything weird going on. Because, you know how people are. And George was very quiet. And he would sneak out periodically to go catch himself a small bird. Because he knew it wasn't a good idea to only eat bread, as delicious as it was. You can't eat just bread. You got to have a bird or a trout sometime. Well, the weeks went by, and there was a bit of a dilemma. George said, okay, this is all great. I understand how to build a fire. I understand how to let the dough rise. I understand how long to cook it. I understand how to knead the dough. But I gotta ask you, where does the flour come from? And the baker explained to him how the mill takes the wheat and grinds the flour with the grindstone. That's where the flour comes from. And George said, oh, that's very discouraging, because I've learned all the things in the bakery about how to make the bread, but I don't know if a raccoon could ever mill flour. That seems like you need somebody big to do that. And the baker said, oh, you know what? That is a problem. I'll tell you. George, you and I should go visit the miller. I'll set it up. Let's go visit the miller and talk to him about what can we do about that? What can we do about that? So the baker went off to talk to the miller. George stayed back, but he was very discouraged. He was very discouraged because his dream was to bring the bakery to the raccoon village, and he didn't see how he could do that without flour. The baker came back and he said, tomorrow we go talk to the miller. He will tell us what we can try. Maybe he's got an idea, I don't know. The next day they went to visit the miller. You know, the baker put George in a sack. He got out his sack, and George climbed in it, and he threw the sack over his shoulder so he could walk through the village and nobody would know. Well, they got to the miller's. The miller shut the door. He said, I want you to meet my friend George. Well, George came out of the sack, and you'd think the miller would be surprised. But the miller was very old and very wise, and he had traveled all through the forest, and he had been as far away as Calpurnia, and he'd been to the capital city. He'd traveled the trade routes east and west and north and south. He was someone who really knew a lot about the world, and when he saw George, he just started talking to him right away. He says, my friend the baker says your name is George. I'm pleased to meet you. And he held out his hand. George knew that the humans sometimes do this hand thing, so he walked over with a kind of a waddle, and he stood up on his back feet like the humans are always doing. They shook hands. And George explained his problem. I don't know how I can ever get flour. I can take everything I've learned about baking back to the village, but I don't know how I'm going to get flour. And the miller said, I think I have a solution to your problem, but I'm going to have to show it to you. So the three of them decided that they would set out the next day to see what the miller had to show. And then the next day they got up bright and early, and they set out and they headed west. This was a different path than the one that George had taken to get to the village in the first place. It twisted more north, and it was kind of a zigzaggy, and in places it was much steeper. And the trees got closer and closer together, but eventually they came to another village, and George was quite shocked because there were no humans in this village. It was full of bears, a village of bears, and the bears spoke to them because the bears and the miller were old friends. And the miller said to George, I have someone I want you to meet. Well, it turns out that this village of bears had a mill in it. And there was a miller bear who ran the bear mill. And the miller bear, whose name was, I hate this one, I need to come up with a character name. Hiroshi. The bear's name was Hiroshi, and the miller said, Hiroshi, tell my friend George what you do. And Hiroshi said, well, I got a big millstone. I take grain. We gather wild grain. We bring it in here, and we grind the grain into flour. And we send it off to the baker. Or we send it off to the miller. We send it off for trade. We make our own bread. George said, do you think you'd ever be willing to sell me some of your flour? And Hiroshi said, yeah. What do you have to trade? He said, well, in my village, the only thing we have in excess of is trout. Do bears like fish? And Hiroshi just laughed and laughed. He said, oh yes, bears like fish a lot. I think we can do a trade. Well, they all said their goodbyes. George made his way back to his village, and he went back and he saw his mom and dad, and he said, Mom, Dad, you'll never believe it. I am a baker. And his dad said, What's a baker? And George laughed because he'd forgotten. The raccoons of his village, they don't really know that much about baking. He said, Dad, I'm going to show you. I need some fish to trade. So he took some fish that his father had caught. He took it back to the bear village and traded it for grain, or flour rather, which is grain that's been milled. He brought the flour back to the village and built himself a little oven. They use the fire pits to cook the trout, but you can build a little clay oven on top of your own fire pit. And he kneaded the dough. He took the flour, he added the water and some things like sage, for the flavor. He kneaded these tiny little raccoon loaves of bread, and he baked them in the oven that he had built with the flour that he'd traded from the bears. And that is how bread came to the raccoon village. The end. I just saw a comment that said it's going to be live until 1,000,005 at this point. I guess it is pretty late. That story kind of got away from me. The story went pretty long. But there's a lot of details you got to get right if you're going to make some bread. I hope you guys enjoyed the bedtime story. That's the kind of bedtime story I tell my kids, or I have told my kids. I don't tell my kids bedtime stories very much anymore, but I used to tell Alex stories like that all the time, and my other kids too. It's late and I have to drive the carpool tomorrow, so I think I'm gonna sign off. One of us. Yeah, that story came out pretty good, I thought. I like George. Um, you guys are wonderful, and I'm gonna order my 1,000,000 plaque, and I'm gonna think of you guys. I can't tell you how much I love this community, um, and how great you've been for me and my family, and how great you were for my boy. How long have I been doing this? When did I start? I click on started 3 hours ago. Okay, yeah, it got away from me. But that was fun. I had a lot of fun with that, and I like to think you guys had a lot of fun as well. So we'll do. Did I tell him stories about farming potatoes? It's like all of my stories take place in Muzi Muzi. It's the same world. Uh, it's maybe got some things in common with Middle Earth. It's got some things in common with Earthsea. Um, if you want to see Alex's subscriber plaques, they were in the. I did a promo on Alex's channel for the 20 million stream, and I had all kinds of Alex memorabilia out on the tables there, so you can see it there. I can. Yeah. All right. I'm wiped out. So oh 07 to you guys as well. Salute. I think you're wonderful. And I'm very, very proud of this community for the work you guys have done and making the world a better place, farming potatoes, and for, you know, for loving my boy and for experiencing love and finding your own heart and your own way in this universe, which can sometimes be kind of trying. This is Mr. Technodad, signing off.